Hey guys, and welcome back. Today I'm going to return to Salamander Yakapult deck, but using the underground boss now that he's been buffed. So Brigand has always been a pretty consistent player when it comes to the crafting of these decks. And we can power it up, we can generate resources off its combat ability, much to the reason why Rakoa and Reveler is so popular, and the power-ups do benefit with it. So I've decided that I'm going to do the same, but use boss, and just see if boss makes a difference to this archetype. Now, I've been doing okay with it. It's not been bad, but I think there are still issues the deck has, runing being a big one. And I've been seeing a lot of mono green today. Some of them run runing, some of them don't. But overall, I think this deck can still have a lot of potential, and although it's quite slow and grindy, I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys will enjoy watching it. So let's get into some matches and see how this deck performs. Alright guys, into our first match. I think we just keep this. I mean, I could throw Sagami, but and go for Reveler into Tiki. I think that's fine. So I think we throw just Sagami here. Maybe try and find a Salamander, get ready to set that up. It's very cold in here, so I've decided to layer up a little bit. Winter is here. So Reveler is the kind of ideal turn one play. We just stick down Reveler, starts harvesting Faeria, puts us in a very good mood. We're going against the Yellow Flyers. Potentially maybe blue-yellow could also be an option. That cheeky splash of blue. So if you haven't seen me play this deck before, I've played it quite a few times actually. You can kind of just build around your kind of own region, and then you set up Yakapult, and then Yakapult does all the work for you. Chaining off Salamanders and stuff like that. So, first power up. 6/4 into a smile, to a double trigger off this now. 2+1/+1's going to these two cards. And it's another Reveler. So I will build the Reveler here, and then I'll forest here, and I'll collect on this well, and then I'll probably land in the middle, bring these guys back, and then Salamander them both. If there's any pressure that shows up. This is a way for me to get return value on the Faeria. So another Emissary, sneaking down here, see what's up. It might actually be worth me Salamander now, so when I collect off this well, at least I'll get a big return. Although I do have Ground Shaker. Because if this gets mobility down and takes value here, am I fine with that? That's something I need to think about. I guess I could do this. Does actually protect it a little bit, and the way it does is if my opponent does come down with a Flash Wind to clear this, I can just follow up with the Ground Shaker to kill it, and I still get that Faeria refund. So I can take my central land, maybe even double neutral in the future. So this is probably going to be a mountain, and then I can double neutral, and I can pull all these into the middle, and then go for a big Salamander. That's the plan, at least. Build some of our desert, so we're coming up to champion range. Champions can prove to be quite an issue. A lot of mobility, good stat line. None of the things I want to deal with, at least. Yeah, I'll take the Ground Shaker. Could even take the layer preemptively, so we collect off this well. I double neutral here, I scoot, and then I Salamander all of this stuff. I'd like to take a Brigand here, actually, if I could, but might not be an option. So let's just take layer. And then we're just gearing up for this massive Salamander next to him. I'm gonna hit 4 targets. Maybe I even just move this, leave the 1/1 in place. Because this might just get mobility down anyway. If this doesn't get cleared, I just leave this here, and then I step up into Brigand, and then I Salamander and take all that value. If this does get pushed as well, I'll be able to... Yeah, so it does get pushed down, so I'll be able to use the Salamander in a way. Oh, actually, I could have a different line. It's tricky. Sunsilk Fairy. So it goes up to a 5/3. Into a Bloatfly. Garadan? Are you about? No, no Garadan, okay. Yeah, let's pull these together. Let's get the value. Yeah, so just maximizing our value gain. An event was drawn, maybe Flash Wind, Soul Drain, Spirit Theft. Spirit Theft is definitely an option. These high desert decks. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. So this is going to scoot down and take the Faeria, kill the Brigand. Okay. So we know the Salamander can finish this off. That is an option. Oof, this is a tough one. This is generating so much value now. It's pretty much just Eridan at this point. So I need another Salamander. Yeah, probably just need another Salamander now. Move this here. Move this here. And Salamander. Oh, is he going to clear my 2-1? 2-5? That's really good if he does. Really heads up. Yeah, I like it. It's no good to us. This card is insane, honestly. This card is just so good. Absolutely ridiculous. I think this is one of the best cards Red has right now. There's a mobile Salamander. The -1 makes a huge difference. It allows you to clear stuff without having the necessary lands. As long as you've got a mountain in range, like you can just sneak in with that 2 damage and go from there. And I think this is just very solid. I really need Garadan at this point because I need to kill this. That's an issue. Oh, here comes another one. So things get even worse. So all the Iona's Smiles were used, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were used early on. So that does help me a lot that we've had these used so early. Nightmare, my Ground Shaker. That's good. That's a good line. So you collect. I'm not sure where this wants to go. Probably to the right. We will take a draw. We actually shouldn't have taken a draw there. I thought I had more lands than I did. I needed 6. I was planning to play Yakapult this turn, just to challenge the Bloatfly, but I thought I had... In my head, I had 6 lands. I actually had 5, so that was a misstep from me. So this scoots down. Reveler not in a great position at the moment. That's not a card I was expecting to see in this deck, that's for sure. Bossman, okay. Collect. We do want to play Yakapult this turn. So we've dodged the side to Saggy. There isn't a mobility trick yet. Yakapult now does 2 things. It challenges this Bloatfly and it challenges this Bloatfly. So if this Bloatfly doesn't move, I can shoot it, deal the 2 damage, generate a Yak here. If this moves down and clears, I can then just Tiki Caretaker this, and then use that Caretaker to power up the Yakapult and kill this. That's if there's not a Choking Sands. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of Choking Sands in yellow today. It's really caught me off guard because the 2 decks I play have been needing the have needed the Choking Sands to not be around, because I was playing a lot of 3/5s. I've been playing Chaos Control today. I've been playing this deck, a big Sunsilk Fairy. Right, so I kill this anyway because I don't want to be too transparent about Garadan. And then I can draw because I'm gonna be up enough to play Garadan next turn anyway. It's pretty good. Okay. Let's push this back. This turns, clears my boss, leaving it on 1 life, which is fine. And then hopefully a bit of an overextension. Maybe just play something else. I got a Choking Sands. Crazy. Plays around the Ground Shaker with the Choking Sands. Like I said, I've seen a lot of Choking Sands today. Which is kind of interesting. Garen's actually not quite good enough anymore. Oh, I did pick up a Ground Shaker. So I'd rather combo these 2 together. I guess I could play Garadan here, so it doesn't die to this, and then I Ground Shaker on the follow-up anyway. I probably have to, so I'll do that. I'll because I don't want the Garadan to die to this. So that's a lot of reach. So let's Garadan. We deal with a fair amount of problems this way. I just need to hope there's no mobility, because mobility is really good value on Sunsilk. Sunsilk is able to kill Garadan. It's pretty good. Now my win con's the Yakapult, so I can just keep stalling, keep killing stuff, keep fighting for my board, for my lands, keep my opponent off them. And then play that Yakapult. We've seen 2 Choking Sands now. So my Yakapult should be pretty safe. Manta Rider. as expected. So Garadan's probably going to go up. I want to push Garadan into this region. Oh, Rakoan Copter. That's actually a little better than Groundshaker in some ways. Ooh. Ah, if only I had an 11 Faeria. I could move Mountain, Copter to this side, and then Groundshaker this. That'd be really good. I'd be keen on that play. So I'm probably just going to turn this into a mountain so I can Groundshaker here. In hopes of being able to collect next turn. And my opponent is running out of cards, running out of gas. Even with all the Sky Captains generating value. You know, we've seen a lot of cards be played already and they've been killed. And I've been able to manage the board quite well. So I think I'm in a decent situation. Now we may see like a Flashwing come across and we see Garadan get taken out. And then I just kill the Manta. Yeah, oh this. Is it going to go down and kill Garadan? Is that the plan? No, kill Groundshaker. So it's going to kill Groundshaker. I can then kill the Sky Captor with Garadan and Copter this instead. Oh, it just has the Nightmare. It's pricey. Pricey plays. So the truth is I probably don't even Copter now. Unless I Copter this. Unless I move up Mountain Copter this. But I just drew Groundshaker, so probably not. I probably just +1 Groundshaker now. This can still get to it. Maybe I'm okay with that. Maybe, or I just stick it in the middle. To make sure that it can't get to it. But do I mind if these two trade? Probably not. But let's make it awkward for my opponent at least. This Leia's been around for a while. She's just been waiting for an opportune moment to use her ability. Desert in the middle. Gets out of dodge. Scoots down. Mobility. No, it's a Saggy. Flashwind, push 6. Yeah, Saggy push 6. So yeah, we'll clear this. +1 Copter, kill the double collector. Then we can probably even pull this up a tile to try and... So I can just stick a Brigand or something in front of this. Probably just the Explorer. Stick the Explorer by here. 4 cards remaining on 7 life. I'm somehow still alive, still fighting. I own a smile. Draws 2. So my opponent's really all in on finishing me off soon. It's actually a good time for Leia to die so I can start regaining my health. Manta Rider's nice and slow. It's not going to generate enough time. It's not going to have enough time to deal with me. Which is good. So this is probably a situation where I don't mind her dying. Because I will line up with the Saggy, but I think that's absolutely fine. Because I kind of want her to die now. But if I wanted to be a bit more cautious, I could just caretaker this now. But the structure is quite beneficial for me. Let's play trying choking sands. So I'm going to stick this down instead of the Brigand. I know we've seen 2 already, but they could be 3. I don't know. I have no idea. Yep, so get my structure out. Let's start healing. I want to get some life back. I've got 10 cards left in deck. It's essentially 10 turns if I don't draw anything. So this could be a good way for me to sustain. My Manta Rider can kill this. Sure, can kill this now with a mobility trick. But that's fine. I don't really mind that much. Another Manta Rider. Flashwind. So that kind of that makes my decision for me. Draw to the last card. Because now I can scoot across, go for a Tiki. Clear this. And then I can +1 into a Brigand in the middle. And what this does for me is it puts a blocker in front of the Saggy. It also means that I can keep my Explorer alive and then take value on the Manta and gain 2 additional Faeria. Because now all I have to do is put things around my orb. Just dump a load of creatures around my orb. And eventually play Yakapult when I get there. So this is what... I explained this in the intro. Like, this is what the deck does. It just grinds you out. And even with the Sky Captains, I was very impressed that this deck held off for so long. It's actually really good that I was able to do that. The Explorers and the Sagami Warriors are kind of the flex slots at the moment. I don't know if I want them in the deck. I haven't decided. So there's nothing left. That's it. Saggy is going to try and win the game. That's fine. That's a really good draw. I'll take it. Let's take the value. Let's get the Faeria boost. Now we can do this. Dash to this well, block in the hit onto the statue, and just chuck a 5/5 in front of me. So now the Saggy can't hit my face, the Saggy can't hit my Shimmering statue, which was healing me. This is in double collection, but it's not collecting for anything. There's no cards left in the deck. I get to kill Saggy. They can take a shot at me, but I can kill Saggy, kill both Saggies, kill this. It's only a Manta left. Maybe if I draw Salamander, I just Salamander it and just win the game. It takes a shot. Takes another shot, kills itself. Chaos is going to fall this game. The power of the Flyers isn't enough. And there we go, scoops. And good game. Like that was actually a really interesting game because for a while I did feel like I was not going to win. I don't know where the turning point is. Well, I guess I guess my opponent just ran out of gas, you know, all the early Iona's smiles, playing those creatures down, trying to apply that pressure, it all added up, like, because I was dealing with it. I was able to manage the board, even with the +1/+1s, and it got to a point where my opponent just didn't have enough steam to keep pushing. I'd killed all the creatures that were meant to be enough to push past my defenses, and that's always been one of the greatest assets of this archetype. It has such a good defensive build. It can bring itself together, Salamander spread power-ups, Salamander deal damage spread power-ups, and just make your creatures really durable and really difficult to answer. But good games to my opponent. Let's move on to the next one. Alright guys, into another match. A really good hand actually. I have the Reveler, I can mountain, and then I can go towards a power-up. Or I could go to like double mountain and start pushing a Brigand and a Reveler and just keep the Tiki for later. So I'm just going to keep this hand, I really like it. That last game took 20 minutes. Like I said, the deck just grinds out. It just grinds you out. It takes a while, but if you like these kind of really slow control decks, you will enjoy it, because you'll just feel like at that last stretch, you're like, yes, I did it. I survived. I was able to overcome deck X in this problem, and it's good. So one of the things I really enjoy about this deck, it forces me to interact with my opponent in order to win. Until I get Yakapult, then I interact with his orb. That's I guess you could say that's a little different. We can take a mountain. We're actually going to take a boss here because it helps us play around Flame Burst, Garadan. Well, my opponent can like Garadan +1 Cypher's Wrath now and clear the board. Is it worth it? I don't know. Oh, that's a Magnus. That is a Magnus. And he just doesn't care about the pain he's going to cause me in this position. This is some kind of red control. So we'll just play Ground Shaker, because now Magnus will probably hit into this. So this is going to get a few triggers. I've kind of accepted that. It's not a lot I can do about it. But it gives me some good live draws. Like I could draw a Rakoan Copter. Rakoan Copter would be an excellent draw now. And then I could just kill this, and that's one trigger gone. If there is no Rakoan Copter, instead of losing the Ground Shaker, I can now go for a Caretaker instead. So what I can do is I can forest here or here, probably here. To be honest, I don't need to get in between the wells. I'd rather have land set up for the Salamanders. So just forest here, scoot this up, go for a Caretaker. So he gets the trigger anyway, draws that extra 0 cost card. And then I can just pass, I think. I'm fine with that. So we're starting to set up this little island for our Salamander plays later on. Probably going to see a Meteor in the future. So 0 cost Ground Shaker into a normal Ground Shaker. Yeah. It's a pretty good answer. It's pretty good. Alright. Rakoan Copter, good draw. I'm thinking about double neutral in this turn just so I can collect and set up that central land. Or I neutral like here and here, and then I make my last special land here. I'm just trying to slow down my opponent's aggressive progression. And then I go for the Explorer. So the Explorer, it represents quite a lot of potential depending on my draws. So currently I have the Rakoan Copter play. So I can kind of like hit this, Rakoan Copter, clear it, be happy. But it's a Havoc, a 0 cost Havoc. So that Explorer is not going to have influence at all, but the idea would be from the Explorer, I open up Salamander lines, I have Rakoan Copter lines, so I have a lot of different ways that I can interact with this Ground Shaker. So I really don't want to see aggressive lands on my side. I could take a mountain here, but that does open up my opponent to step land here. Play something big. I don't know, it could be anything. An Ogre Battler, a Red Devil. So I am going to play, land-wise, I'm going to play quite defensive. Maybe I go for Sagami here, I don't know. And then just force this into Sagami, and then I follow up with the Rekoan Copter to finish it off. But then again, I could use Ground Shaker to try and deal with this problem. But I have seen Havoc, so maybe I want to preemptively do this as a way to control the board. So yeah, actually, this is to play around the Havoc that I've seen now. So if this gets Havoced, he may still run into this, and then I can Rekoan Copter and kind of go from there. Yep, so there's the Havoc I was talking about. So just being very aware of that card. So this gives us the Rekoan Copter play. We probably want the +1. Our Faeria is quite low. Our opponent's got 13 Faeria with a bargain card in hand that we know about. Garadan, right? So Garadan's probably just gonna sweep the game here. It's quite difficult for me to win this match, mainly because my opponent had the king. And I can't, this deck just doesn't interact with Magnus or Runin very well. Like, those two cards do cause this deck a lot of problems. And then I gave those 0 cost reductions. He was able to Havoc and Ground Shaker for 0. So essentially he was able to play a 4/8 for 10 Faeria, which killed 2 creatures and made a 0 cost Havoc and made a 0 cost Ground Shaker. So for 10 Faeria he was able to kill like 3 to 4 creatures and play 2 creatures. It's a pretty good rate. I'll take a draw. We'll see. I'm not optimistic here. It's double collecting. 4 Faeria left. I can't remember if this was bargained or not, but I'm just gonna throw in the towel here. We'll scoop. Everything kind of went my opponent's way, which happens. It is a card game. It was just kind of difficult for me to deal with all the resource advantage that Magnus generated that early on. Like, it's just like I said, it's not really a good way for me to interact with it. Probably Tephra is my best answer, but then I need initiative. I need to be able to hit it with Tephra. But yeah, good game to Roman. Nice to see some red control floating around. I've seen a lot of red combat recently. Let's move on to another match. Alright guys, into another match. We are playing second, so it does give us the option of going for a turn 1 Explorer. If I keep the Caretaker, I could actually gear towards powering it up. There's 3 in the deck, so yeah. So I can actually gear up towards powering it up. And that's where I'm going to go with this hand. You know, we'll go for the Explorer turn 1, and then we'll go towards powering this up in case we have to. Depends what our opponent is playing. Goes for a desert into a yak. A rank 3 with this card and a desert. That's interesting. Okie dokie, tell me more. So this gives away our color combination. No, red-green. I'm not going to be playing this card unless it's a red-green deck. Double neutral. Okay. So we'll stick a forest this side. And then we'll go for the Tiki Caretaker. We're actually going to just power this up. So play around Choking Sands, which I've seen a lot of today. It does allow us to have a very durable defender on the left-hand side. And this also gives me an option to mount in here next turn and go for the collection Tiki Caretaker. And hopefully this will generate quite a lot of value for me. Forest in between the wells. So we also get another +2/+2 with the mountains. And the nice interaction I like between Tiki Caretaker and Explorer is you make a 7/7 for 7 Faeria with 2 cards. I think that's fine. That's absolutely fine in this deck, because you can kind of heal your cards with other power-ups. Oof. Oh, okay. So we got some Resurgence as well. So maybe this is some kind of pushy sack deck. But we'll just take the mountain here. We'll collect. So we're just going to start collecting Faeria. We have Salamander and Copter now. So we have some really good removal options for the future. I can mountain here. I can Copter up. I can kill this. Have the free in this position and then finish off the 1/1, stopping the double collection. If I'm lucky, my opponent plays another card here that also gets hit by the Copter. So that could be something. My opponent may not even play around the fact this becomes a 7/7 next turn if I go for that mountain. So there's a lot of different things that could happen going forward. So it goes for the Stalker. So Gyarados like my best draw. Now do I still go for the Copter line? I really like the Copter line. Personally, I think it's pretty good. Because it lets me kill the whole shield mates. It puts a 3/3 in range of these two and just says to them, do you want to run 2 creatures into it? Questions. I like asking questions. My question is, how do you deal with this? Now, I could even go one step further. And then I could just Tiki Caretaker it. And I think that's fine. I actually like that a lot. Because I set another Harvester on the right-hand side. And I push this 1 life out of reach of these two. So now both my creatures are too big for these creatures alone to have an impact on them. So I'm forcing answers from my opponent's hand. Now there could just be a power-up, it could just be a Soul Drain, it could just be a Wind Soldier, there could be a lot of things, but I don't know what's there. And I'd rather my opponent use something from hand to kill this, rather than having both these creatures just deal with it and he just dumps his 12 Faeria on other big threats. Let's make life difficult. This is probably the most aggressive I've played with this deck in a while, actually. I generally just sit around my orb and just chip away at them from afar. You saw it in the first game. But yeah, I decided to take the initiative here and just like force a decent Copter into my opponent having specific answers. So it does go for the hit into the Topaz Yak. Now, what's this Topaz Yak gonna do? It's actually gonna kill this. Desert another Topaz into a Wind Soldier. Into a Shield Mates. What? That is such a good draw. I was thinking, oh, Salamander. It kind of sucks. I don't get to power everything up. Oh, don't worry. I just drew a really good card called Recurring Copter. One of my favorite cards at the moment. This card's ridiculous. Look at this. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now I'm going to build towards my Yakapult. Takes a draw. Collects. Might Caretaker. Might have top decked the Caretaker here. Nope, it's just a Yak. I have a really good Salamander that I don't think I can pass up at this point. I clear everything in this spot. So I'm gonna do it because I don't see anything better than this. This is gonna net me as much value as I want. just kills the double. It just stops the double collection. Puts 2 creatures in between the wells, or at least challenging in this area. And I can just always Yakapult next turn. Like, I think that's fine. And there we go. My opponent's just going to scoop after that. So yeah, good game there. I had just a nut straw. Like my opponent before me had the Magnus against me. I had the Rakoan Copters just coming out, dealing with all these small threats, and it really played into my favor, getting me a win there. But good game to my opponent. Let's move on to another match. Alright guys, into another game. So we won't be able to play the Explorer on turn 1 anymore. We can go for a Sagami Warrior instead. So I'm going to throw away the Explorer. I'm going to keep the boss because this gives us a turn 3 play. And see what we find. And then there's a turn 4 play. So we've kind of fixed ourselves up to turn 4. We just missed 2. Which maybe isn't that bad. Because I was able to play a turn 1 Harvester. So let's see what happens. Let's see what our opponent's playing. So we played against like Rakoan Yaks. We played against Flyers. You know, we played against some pretty diverse decks so far. So we have red bargain control as well. We have another red deck. From our opponent, this might be Burn. So it's going to be Combat. So Combat's starting to pick up in popularity again. No, I returned to Combat recently. And I think it's decent. I think it's definitely gotten better. And that's what it needed. It needed a bit of a buff, for sure. Let's just mountain here, or even just forest here and power this up and push it out of range of this. But I actually would rather power up the boss. So maybe I just play boss instead. Yeah, let's just play boss instead. Let's get the boss set up. It may be able to interact with something depending on what my opponent does. So my opponent could push a mountain here, then move down and play something behind. My opponent could play a mountain here and then play like a ground shaker. You know, there's definitely things that could be done. And then I could like forest. Maybe just play the Lady of Sorrows in that spot. So my opponent actually goes into the wells. And I think I'm fine with that. That's absolutely fine. So I'll probably just mountain here and pass. Do this. So just shimmy them around. So I have this defending, and this is my defender. This is my attacker essentially. So I want to use the combat trigger from this to gain additional resources. We're pretty close to Yakapult now, at least. So if you pick up a Salamander, we're going to be in a really strong position. Because I can just forest here. I can then Salamander a bunch of things. I could probably play a layer and then Salamander multiple targets from this point. So yeah, so I have like a really good Salamander line coming up. I just hope I pick one up. So you're going to gift this preemptively. And then into another Herald, which got hit by the Blood Song. So I didn't find what I wanted, unfortunately. So instead, I feel like I'm probably going to go for the layer, which was my original plan. And then I have the decision, do I power up the layer to force my opponent to have an answer? So this can't just take it out. So it'll kind of force that 2 damage. But if I do that, and let's say I layer and then I play the Caretaker on the layer. My opponent hits the layer, Cypher's Wrath it, and then clears. I actually don't have the Tiki Caretaker to finish this off anymore. So it's just something for me to think about. But, like I said earlier, I'm kind of someone who wants to force my opponent to have answers. I don't really mind so much. Right, let's see. Let's see if red has some damage from hand. Probably. That's the answer, but at least I'm forcing it. At least I'm encouraging a land being developed here. Something being played from hand, so I'd have to deal with it later. Let's get these things out of hand now, and then maybe I'll be lucky enough to draw a Salamander on the follow-up. Double neutrals. So runs into it. So that's actually better than Gift of Steel, because at least I kill the problem. And then clears my structure. But then I get to take value on this. I'm fine with that. Yeah, I'm actually fine with this line. As long as my opponent doesn't interact with boss for the rest of this turn. Derelict Tower. Okay. Ping this preemptively. Okay. Okay. So for me, I'm going to lose this to the tower, but I'm going to get one trigger. I think I'm pretty happy with one trigger. So let's take it. And then let's scoot these across. I can play the Ground Shaker. And then the Ground Shaker on the follow-up. Ah, well, I won't have enough Faeria to follow up Ground Shaker. So maybe I don't even bother with a Ground Shaker. Maybe I just Yakapult. Maybe double Ground Shaker next turn. We'll see. Yeah, I don't think I Ground Shaker this turn. If I had enough Faeria to guarantee a Ground Shaker on the follow-up, then definitely. Like, if this Derelict Tower didn't exist, like, I'd probably get value from this. But then again, my play would probably be different as well, because I'm not playing around this Derelict Tower. Mountain in the middle. There's no Garadan. It's going to be a boss. Pings. That's a lot of power-ups. I actually could have got another power-up on this if he'd done that first. So, some interesting sequencing that could have affected things for sure. So, I'm in a weird spot because I think I just do it this way, actually. So I Ground Shaker here. And then I shoot this. And I kill this. And I +1. Maybe into a boss. Actually, and just have a boss in this region. So if this steps and clears, I can use the boss to finish it, then Ground Shaker. So that gave me a lot of board control back, but my opponent has his own boss on the field, which will probably get 1 to 2 triggers, which means there'll be a lot of Faeria to work with, so my opponent has the luxury to draw a card this turn, generating 2 Faeria off this, or generating 2 Faeria off this, combo with Ground Shaker is another option, but it does open this Yakapult up to finish it off, which means I'll only get 1 combat trigger. So my opponent probably has to consider, like, how does it get multiple triggers off on the combat, and is it relevant that that has to happen, or can you be a little greedy and just maybe just take the... So just going to take the gift clear here. Really opens up to... There's actually like a lot of counterplay to this now with Cohen Copters, Salamanders, all those. And I drew a Salamander. Luckily, there's not enough Faeria for my opponent. It's not enough Faeria for me to go for the Salamander line. But that's okay. So I do this. No, it doesn't get the combat because it's not next to it. And now, next turn, like, the potential to... So I actually think I move this up to generate additional Faeria on any creatures that come down on the side. So that's my plan now. So I'm going to use the underground boss to kind of fuel my economy to go for a Salamander play. But I also have, like, the Yakapult's going to be able to push 2 damage next turn. This could open up other kind of aggressive lines where I can just build an aggressive land and dump a creature down. So Blood Song again. Pass. Okay. So we're just going to scoot all these across. We can shoot. +1 and pass. Don't need to do anything. Don't need to do anything at all. We don't want to play into a Garadan or anything like that. We want to see if our opponent can answer this problem. This could just be Garadan. It's going to be a Recoing Copter. Probably into Flame Burst. Yep, Flame Burst. But that's fine. I'm fine with that. I just get to kind of rebuild. Just do this. 2 damage. Mountain this side, Ground Shaker. And just set up lethal. So I'm just going for lethal now. I'm using this Yak near my opponent's orb to play an aggressive creature to try and close out the game pretty soon. I'm on 20 life. I'm double collecting. It's going to be pretty difficult for red to deal with this situation. You can Scythe this Raft at 2/2, but it does just delays the inevitability of the Ground Shake, and your 6 life is pretty difficult to deal with, especially if you're not collecting any Faeria. So another Blood Song. All the Blood Songs. What's the answers? It's Flame Burst. Layer. And there we have it. So well played, Winston. Good game, man. It was tricky. It was a tricky match because I was able to build this defensive island. It was very difficult for my opponent to push anything in a comfortable position. If you're attacking as a mid-range player, you generally want to attack from the wells. So you want to be attacking from like here and here. You want to be moving in diagonally across your opponent because you're collecting Faeria as you go. But when I block this off, the attack avenues because of the Yakapult came from here and here, and it wasn't quite aggressive enough. But also my opponent had the issue that we had these central creatures which I could play around quite easily. But good game to my opponent. Let's move on to our final match. So let's throw away all these cards, don't need them. Brigand, good pickup, get a turn 2 play, turn 3 play, and the Ground Shaker. This is a very mountain heavy deck. It does need 2 forests to get online for the Tiki Caretakers and the Salamanders. And the Sagami Warriors are 1 forest, the Explorers are 2 forests. There are a few cards in here that require 2 forests. But the main bulk of the cards are red. And you're probably going to benefit more from a red turn 1 play, like a Reveler, into a boss, into a Brigand, into a Ground Shaker, or a turn 2 boss Brigand Ground into a Ground Shaker on 3. Sagami's not too bad because you can go Sagami turn 1, Mountain turn 2, Mountain turn 3 into a Brigand or boss. So there's definitely like different options. But the red package generally offers more. It's a Mace Man who's not a Face Man right now. Interesting. I'll actually play this here. Let's play around Kaleem's Training Fanatic, because that is something that could happen. Because if there was Kaleem's Training Fanatic, like now I can just go Ground Shaker and I'm in a pretty decent spot. Although I do open myself up to Last Nightmare into Kaleem's Training. That's a lot. There's a lot of things to have. Once again, we're going to build this island. You know, our opponent's playing down the side. We're going to build this island, and then we're going to generate that value on the Emerald Salamanders. Even though Salamander was not relevant last game, really, was it? It was the Recoing Copters and the Yakapult that did a lot of work. So you're just going to go for the Nightmare here. 6 for 6. That's fine. I'm happy with that trade-off. Yep, take Forest. Gonna pass. So now revealing that we are green-red. Open up Salamander for next turn. Might just see mobility trick. Fanatic. No, gonna be a Manta Rider. Okay. Tiki Caretaker. I don't know if I care at this point about killing this. I mean, I can Caretaker it. I can be left on 1 life, open myself up to Spirit Theft. Not really what I'm interested in. Gyarados is just such good value soon, so I feel like I just wait. You know, I just maybe just take one of my last lands here. I could take this as a mountain actually and put Gyarados into a more collection position in the future. Let's do that. Let's just take the mountain. And we'll pass. We'll see if there's mobility. There's Wild and Egg asking us. Me and Raizo, I was able to play 6 Chaoses earlier with Medallion. And I was just like, the Medallion's such a ridiculous card if it goes off. It's nuts. So double Soul Drain. Not bad. Oh, hi, Gary. I might Forest here to open up a Salamander play. Because if I Forest here, I can scoot across and then Salamander here, killing the 2/2 and powering up Gyarados. This could just get nightmared. But it's done its job. Oh, Colossus. So yeah, actually... Oh, that's cheeky. So that G doesn't do what I want to do now, which is sad. But maybe I don't care that much at the moment. Go for a Reveler. Maybe I just +1. Then play Reveler next turn. Like Reveler here, Brigand here. It's 5, Salamander on top of them both. For a bit of value, a bit of sustain. So yeah, let's take some economy here. Let's take the Faeria. Open up more options next turn. I have Tephra as well. So I could actually just move here and then play... Maybe just play a Brigand to block. Just to block this. And then if this doesn't get answered... Oh, actually he's going for the 7. Just going in. Does not care. Into a Manta. I like this play. It's very aggressive. It's another Salamander. So I can Tiki Caretaker this to finish this off. Tiki here. I wish I could deal with the Manta Rider. Maybe that's not that important right now. So Tiki Caretaker here. It still dies. The Gyarados still dies. That's the problem. So maybe I don't even need to Caretaker at this point. So maybe instead I kill this. Or I Tephra and just kill the 8/7. Tephra here. Double Tiki. Not keen. It's tricky. It is a tricky one. I think I'm going to Tephra actually. This could be a good debate. So I stick the Reveler down so my opponent can't scoot across here and play another creature. So it has to build a land behind if he wants to develop anything else. I put the Reveler down as a way to leverage this if it decides to take value. So if it takes value now, I get the Faeria back. I get to clear this, and then I probably just get the Salamander. Oh, it actually goes for Soul Drain. And plays another Colossus. Plays a Demon. So, yeah, this may be too much pressure for me to deal with, actually. That training really got me. I knew training was in there, but I kind of stopped worrying about it after the Mace Man was killed, which was a mistake. Because now I can't... I can kill this, but I can't kill the follow-up. That's my problem. So potentially it was a mistake to play the Reveler, actually. Oi! Kubo's going for my mouse. Yeah, I just think this is a. I think this is a scoop. I could take a draw. Like if I had Copter, I'd have a lifeline at least, but I don't have. Oh no! Are you serious? So I would be able to that and Copter in. But yeah, well played to my opponent. Can't deal with that. And that is going to wrap up this episode. Went 3-2 in the end. Not bad. Like I don't think this deck is like tier 1 or anything, but the fact it can compete is quite nice. And I think the boss buff is pretty good. I think it's good for this build. I originally saw a player called NMB, I think his name is, playing Crackthorn with bosses. I was like, wait, if Crackthorn can use bosses, surely Salamander can, and they can bust out the old Yakapult. But good games to my opponents. That concludes this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I often return to Green-Red Salamander because I'm such a big fan of the archetype and the Salamander card itself. I really like how it interacts with the board and how it interacts with your own creatures, making decisions on how you get the value. I really enjoy this style of deck. It's a bit grindy sometimes, like I said, but there's something satisfying about surviving right until the end and being able to kind of just outlast your opponent until they go to mill like in our first game. So good games to my opponents today. We saw some great variety of decks on ladder, and yeah, and I really enjoyed them. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe to keep up to date when our content goes live. This week, I returned to Red Combat following the buff to Underground Boss, which also resulted in me creating this deck to see if Boss could have any influence on the archetype. You can also check out my videos from last week. I did one-turn kill deck, which I wasn't very good at. There's a structure deck which I've also still been playing since the Resurgence change, and it's been very strong. So if you check out Amoeba's structure deck, still a great deck following the balance patch that nerfed Radiance. So until next time guys, take care, and I hope you enjoy my Green-Red Salamander.